Astro. That is in his lineup. I'm not 100% sure on what the wins were earlier on. We'll find out for you in a little bit. But for now, it's going to be the Holy Wrath Paladin versus the Hunter. And, you know, we've both been playing this deck, and I actually think that the Holy Wrath Paladin maybe doesn't get enough credit for being sort of not an anti-aggro deck, but having game versus aggro, because it only takes a timeout, and then the second you can drop a Chevalo with a bounce or a copy or whatever, you just win, because there's no deck in the game right now that can realistically beat multiple Chevalas.
The OTK kind of just shifts away, because you're obviously not going for most of the time against aggro, Holy Wrath on Chevala with the Baleful Banker. The OTK, or the combo that you're doing, I suppose I should say, at the end, is just bouncing Chevala. That just wins you the game against pretty much every aggro deck. But getting to that point is the difficult part, because your removal as the OTK Paladin is incredibly strong at dealing with wide boards. If they put all their eggs in one basket and overcommit onto the board, you can destroy it very easily with Equality and Shrink Ray. But it's single target removal that I think is the real Achilles heel of this OTK Paladin. And so if Tarei is able to stick something like a adapted Misha here, or maybe a big Scavenging Hyena, maybe even just a Tundra Rhino, these are a lot of must-remove targets that Leomane could struggle to get rid of.
Yeah, interesting list as well from Leomane. We can see he's running the one True Silver, the one Shrink Ray, but only one Holy Wrath. And personally, I feel like that makes the deck a little bit riskier than it needs to be, because we heard from the guys, sometimes you just Holy Wrath them on turn 5 and kill them. But also, Holy Wrath's just a fine card draw tool, you know, if you have two. I mean, so you can play one to just keep cycling, and still know you've got the second one in the bank.
I'm actually personally of the other school of thought. I quite like the one Holy Wrath build, but I still use it very liberally. I think a lot more often than would initially meet the eye, you go for the Horseman OTK. I think that's just often the more reliable way to do it.
Interesting.
Because you don't have to draw through your whole deck for that. You just need Uther on 9, and then you can go for it with the Pandas and the Zolas. Obviously, you need to have built your deck in that way, whereas Leomane only has one Youthful Brewmaster, whereas I run 2, so it obviously gets a little bit more tricky. I don't think I actually love this list from Leomane. I think I personally prefer 2 Brewmasters as opposed to just one. But it's very interesting, like we were saying in the pre-show, just how unrefined this deck is. There's so much room for creativity and personal playstyles thrown in there.
Yeah, we see Snipe's going to go off onto a Novice Engineer, probably the best target in the world for that. I will say as well that already, with this Hybrid Hunter that Leomane's against, he isn't doing too bad in terms of a life total. The Snake Trap's a little bit frustrating, and with no coin for Consecrate, it's a little bit tough to deal with just because there's multiple minions on board. We can see Hyena, of course. But, you know, it only requires a turn or so to reach a little bit with timeout, get one board clear, then Hunter can run out of cards. Not as common now, because of Master's Call is probably the most powerful tool Hunter's had in a long time. But it is doable to just survive there, because now look, there's Pyro, Hammer of Wrath, Consecrate, Equality, Shrink Ray. There's so many tools that are just like, no, I'll buy one more turn. Oh, I'll buy one more turn. And then suddenly it's the end of the game.
And now for Tarei, he has free reign to develop onto this board here. And I have to be honest, I am kind of surprised to see the Scavenging Hyena come down. On that turn, I quite like the Tundra Rhino. If I'm honest, just you're on turn 5, you throw that down. How do they remove the Rhino without using an Equality or a Shrink Ray? They have to go for some kind of a complete board sweep to get rid of it. And if they do kill it off, go for Spellstone, you have a huge refill. If they don't kill it off though, you have a charging Spellstone, you just hit them for 12.
I think that's why I'm the other way. We just never agreed, Darren. Because I think as you are edging the game over to turn 10, depending on what you draw and stuff, there is a chance that you can actually just kill the Paladin with 10 mana.
Oh, what, you want to go for the Rhino Spellstone combo?
Yeah, depending on what you draw and how the game plays out and if things are cleared. But what that says to Leomane is you have to kill this Hyena. If you don't, you may just die. And that's just the way it is.
That's fair.
Because the one problem you've got is when it's obvious when you're setting up lethal, and then they time out, it's literally, they just gain a turn. You draw one card, but they gain a turn, so it's kind of difficult to deal with.
That's fair. And this has worked out. Yeah, this has worked out well for Tarei. He still gets the benefit I was talking about of demanding an answer with this Rhino, and still setting up for a powerful Spellstone. So it's worked out well in both aspects.
And there's Master's Call. That was key. And look, imagine that Timeout wasn't played. There could have been some heavy damage done again this turn. And the problem Leomane has, it's one of the odd spots in the deck where you don't have card draw.
Yeah.
And you need to cycle, because the way you survive is because you draw every card in your deck, and the amount of survival tools in your deck in total are enough.
Yeah.
But you need to get there.
It's pretty crazy that he's run out of card draw, considering he had a double Christology opening, I think. Like, that just always hyper-cycles through your whole deck.
Yeah, no prismatic lens is a little bit annoying. The 4-mana draw 2 is actually quite powerful. But now, like, it has to be another clear. Uther locked and loaded for next turn. And this is the scary part now for Tarei. Like, we can see Uther, he can't obviously. But now it's like, right, he's just cleared this. I've got nothing on board. My hand doesn't do much apart from, yes, you can make the 3/3s, but what if they're either cleared or another timeout or whatever? And Uther almost heals for 10.
Pretty much,
depending on trades, obviously.
When you play it straight away. It will be a little bit difficult for Leomane as to whether or not he goes for the equality clear or the Uther. The main reason I'm saying that is because while it is a pretty good equality consecration board clear, now it's unlikely that you'll face anything scarier immediately. Zul'jin is what I'm afraid of. That is what I lose to a staggering amount of time in this matchup. Is just the refill that Zul'jin affords. You need an answer to that, or you're just going to lose, which is why I think I like from Leomane realizing this is scary, but it's not gaming. You can afford to take this damage and then heal up after.
I like this because when you tick off Rhino and 2 Hyenas, it's unlikely, extremely unlikely you were dead this turn.
That's true, yeah.
And then if you're not dead, you just heal. And then you're still not dead, and then you're still not dead. Because there's now Flash of Light, Quality Consecrate, the Shrink Ray, the Steven Righteous Protector, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. So down to 13, but this board's getting wiped. And there's going to be, what, potentially 9 heal coming out and card draw next turn?
It's not perfect with the way it's worked out for Leomane, though, because he's clearing a board of a similar size to last turn anyway. He's baited out a couple of extra resources by holding on with the equality consecration board clear.
I guess.
But maybe if he'd done it last turn, he could have held off a little bit more effectively. But either way, he's in a pretty good spot now.
The scary part is, whenever you don't play Uther safely, you might die.
Yes.
And like, if you want to play Uther this turn after the refill where you're dead, it's too much damage. And bear in mind, if Zul'jin comes down, he can just shrink ray it. It's like, oh, 7/1/1s max. Yeah. Nice one.
Will be
Suddenly you start to see the stabilization that this Paladin deck can do.
How do you feel about that attack with the weapon? He was at 13 health. He doesn't need to be afraid of refill from his opponent. Should he be swinging there or save it for removal?
I think that...
It's close, isn't it?
It is close, because also the more damage you do, the more chance you can just Holy Wrath someone to death.
That's true.
And you beat Rexar turns, which then buy them another turn and another, it gets a little bit weird, but I think I like it overall because you've still got another swing. And also there might be some world in which an awkward target is made and you don't want to swing into it.
The freezing trap there for Leomane is kind of nice as it just bounces back a horseman to his hand for him. It's what the deck is designed to do.
And this is just problematic now without a Death Knight here. Oh, double Prismatic Lens. That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
But without the Death Knight from Tarei, all Zul'jin, the hero card, one card a turn's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
And now, Leomane, this is the level of card draw we're used to.
Yeah.
And it was bound to happen because we did say, Leomane had like no card draw earlier.
Yeah.
Like 70% of the deck is card draw, so yes, you will draw into it.
And Leomane here can just slowly move towards the Shavala event, the Shavala Holy Wrath OTK if he wants to. Or to be honest, what I was looking at instead was just bouncing cards back with the Brewmaster there. Just go Hero Power and bounce it back. He can get the Horseman OTK pretty easily.
I don't even know if he needs to. I think you can just play this out and you just take whatever you win with.
I just think he's more likely to lose. He's at 1.
No, I was going to say, his deck looks pretty swell to me. Boom!
There we go.
There's the 25 damage, and Leomane goes up 2-1. And I will honestly say X are doing well. What's getting banned and what are people dealing with? But let's go straight into game number 4. Tarei versus Leomane. Leomane on the Warrior, which is Quest, and then Tarei on his Paladin, which is actually even.
Yeah, I think if you are going to be bringing Odd Warrior of any kind to playoffs, I definitely prefer the Quest version, just because it has a little bit of bite to it.
Because it ends.
Exactly, it closes out the game, which is good for us, of course, games that actually have a finish. But also just because there's so many OTK decks, you need to actually kill your opponent. Value and outlasting is no longer good enough in the current Hearthstone meta, the tournament meta at least. And I think he will have got himself a decent matchup here. I quite like the Odd Warrior versus Even Paladin matchup.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. I used to love Even Paladin back in the day with Call to Arms.
Yeah.
Who didn't? But for me, Even Paladin is the most average deck I think I've seen for a very... It never blows me away. It's never that disappointing. It's just... meh, it's a deck that works. And that's why, like, I don't think I could bring it to a tournament, because I just feel like it's very, very average. But we see players with also just mixed bag results with this deck. Sometimes, again, it feels like it does nothing, but then sometimes it just crushes people. Like, what do you think about this deck and what Tarei needs to do against Leomane here?
I completely agree with you. I think it's just a fine deck. You have to bring 4 classes to a Conquest Best of 5 tournament like playoffs is. And I think a lot of the players I've been talking to who brought Even Paladin when it was much more popular last week in Europe was just saying, there's nothing better. What else do I bring? Like, it's a decent mid-range deck, because the thinking in last week's playoff was very much, you have to bring some kind of an aggro mid-range deck. Bring Hunter, maybe Odd Rogue, even Warlock, even Paladin, Control Priest were the go-to decks for a lot of players I was talking to. That philosophy has very much just been thrown out the window this week, though, in the Americas playoffs. This time, a lot less aggro, a lot less mid-range, much more OTK, and combo decks are being brought here. And I think because of that, Even Paladin has actually probably got a bit better, just because it has the ability to kill your opponent pretty quickly against these combo decks.
Yeah, a lot of the decks don't really have a way of interacting with boards similar to what we can see now. On the flip side of that, though, I will say, like, before the Corpse Taker was drawn, so just don't look at that for a second. If this board is cleared, the hand is very mediocre, isn't it? And that's my theme throughout, and now Tarei's just going to choose whether he wants to hero power or not, or whether he's fearful of a brawl.
Yeah.
I don't really think he needs to hero power. I actually like this from Tarei. Like, the 1/1 does nothing. You've got a very powerful minion. Not only is it Blessed of Kings, but it's also got Divine Shield.
Yeah,
like, just stick that one on the board. Let that one do the job.
I like it a lot, as Leomane, even now, because of the constant health removal from Tarei, the armor there is just not there to go for, like, Ziliak's Coin Shield Slam. He just doesn't have a way to kill this off on this turn, so he has to go Ziliak's Pass, I suppose, is probably his best outcome. But that's not very strong.
Does he ever Militia Coin Militia? Does that ever get him anywhere? Maybe not. Yeah, it's kind of just the one hand that doesn't quite do anything well. Hero Power Flurry doesn't really achieve anything.
Can't do that.
Wait, could he Hero Power Shield Slam Coin Flurry?
Oh, just to kill off 1/6/6.
Well, the problem is, going into turn 6, he could be dead the turn after. So I'm stretching. I know that's a deep input of resources there just to kill off the 6/6, but I don't know how else he does kill off the 6/6 right now.
I think I like this a little more. You set up taunts this turn, you set up taunts next turn with Ziliak's, or you brawl, depending on how your opponent develops, and then you go with some kind of a Reckless Flurry play the turn after.
Tarei could Clay one, then just drop Avenging Ram.
Yeah, I was
be
looking
like,
at that
what's
as well.
up? Maybe I get to hit him for a minimum of what would it be? If 4 hit that, then you could just hit him for what?
You'd only need 2
12?
to hit it, because you could then go for the trade-in.
Even if, like, 4 hit it, it's fine. Although slightly more.
Because that Divine Shield is so good, man.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like the standard play, because even now, Hero Power plus Reckless Flurry doesn't do it. Hero Power Shield Slam doesn't do it. There has to be some combo of cards, which is saying to Leomane, okay, if you have the perfect combo of cards to remove this, good for you. But I think on average, Tarei should be coming out ahead in this play.
Also, as well, funnily enough, there's defense versus, say, the weapon or rush minion like Ziliak's, or specifically Ziliak's, because it's auto defense.
The auto
matrix is
defense
the secret,
matrix,
right?
yeah.
So it's going to give Divine Shield to the minion before it takes any damage, which again, because of the Reckless Flurry problem, is a big deal, not being able to damage whatever minion you choose to attack.
This is pretty actually scary for Leomane. This is not the way this matchup usually goes.
And I believe Leomane has no knowledge of what the secret is, so Brawl could resurrect the Harpy, and then he's dead. It's not going to, but it could. Like if the Harpy dies, like the Harpy could live like no matter what.
Harpy surviving is mighty scary.
Ooh, Tyrion as well. Ready, locked and loaded for next turn. Tarei can play another Hydrologist and get another secret up.
As Tarei counts up his damage to check if he has lethal, finds himself 1 off though, which means he will, I imagine, be going for some kind of other offensive play to go into the Avenging Wrath for the closing blow at the end.
It is important to counter that damage though.
Very important.
Repentance, not bad to deal with any of the slightly bigger taunts. Odd Quest Warrior, it's not uncommon to play the Leomane Warbit. Obviously, Tarei will know anyway. But yeah, it's a great way to punch through there. The 2-2 combined with the Repentance is normally just this Hydrologist kills a big dude. It's going to be Brawl number 2. That's all Leomane can do.
Oh! That's just it.
Hammer puts him to 13. There's 8 already from the Harpy. Guess what? Avenging Wrath, 8 more to face. That adds up to lethal to me. And Tarei just, again, this is one of the games that Paladin looked quite good. But guess what? It could also have whiffed, and Leomane actually whiffed a few of his own on the Warrior again. And we see Tarei with his Hunter. And this is the Hybrid Hunter we saw earlier as well. So nothing too crazy, very reminiscent of, it's a throwback to last weekend when so many people were playing Hybrid Hunter.
Yep. Still to this day, why am I talking like it's been 10 years since then?
Old man Derek, only 12.
A week later, only 12.
Carry on.
12 years younger than you, you old man. He has the card, the boy, as I believe Hunter Ace has dubbed it, in Deathstalker Rexxar, which is absolutely what you're looking for. More so against the non-quest Odd Warrior is where it's absolutely paramount. But it's still the most important card up against Quest Odd Warrior. Even though they can turn the pressure up, the value is so important if you don't get off to one of those ridiculously explosive early games.
Yeah, 100%, but as you mentioned, the Quest can actually make this matchup still hard for the Hunter, even if you Rexxar, because you know, Rexxar's not going to stop 8 damage to face every turn, or even just you play a minion, I play hero power, I kill your minion, but I spent 2 mana, you spent like 8 or 10 or whatever.
As Leomane's hand is really starting to come together beautifully. It was lacking a little bit of removal at the start, but on its own, Super Collider, done. That's all the removal he's going to be needing for a good long while now against, obviously, a Spellstone that could come down, any other mid-range sized minions. Interesting as well, I think, to point out, I'm pretty sure I agree with it, to not play the Dire Frenzy there, because generally in this matchup, it's much more, again, against the non-quest version. You always want to Dire Frenzy Zombeasts, because they are so much more powerful than any other beast in the game. But against Quest Warrior, I can understand the merit for playing it as the buff, mainly, on the 1 minion here, just to turn up the pressure.
Well, I think for me, Dire Frenzy would have 100% happened there if the Animal Companion was not exactly Leok. If it was any of the other 2, it would have come down. I think also Dire Frenzy maybe not because of Coin Rexxar, but could just as well come down onto the Razormaw. I think Dire Frenzy Razormaw is very, very powerful because not only is it just a big 2-drop, it also just, you get so many more adapts, so many more chances at Wind Fury, Divine Shield plus attack.
I agree it's a strong option to go for, but in a matchup where you have the liberty to take all the time in the world...
But you don't against Quest Warrior.
That's the thing. That's the difference, is you don't have all the time in the world. So you have to find a middle ground where, obviously, ideally, you'd hit a Wind Fury Rhino every time or something with it. Just go for the crazy options. But you don't have all the time in the world, so you've got to make do with what you've got.
Yeah, I will say one of the easiest games I've won in recent history with this deck is when I just landed Dire Frenzy on a Thunder Rhino. And I was like, this card's just too good. You just can't beat multiple Thunder Rhinos that are buffed. Like, it's just too powerful in this deck. But yeah, I will say that, like, I'll honestly, I think Sol was saying his is Spring Paw is his favorite Dire Frenzy target, but Razor Maw is definitely mine. It's the adapt plus the body is huge.
I'm partial to a wolf token myself.
Nice. You would be, Darren. You would be. Timberwolf is very powerful as well.
Ooh, some nice options. Scale Hide with anything is pretty good. And I agree, I pretty much always take Timberwolf when it's offered. But going with the slightly more expensive and resilient as well option in the Bear Shark there, it's got positives and negatives. You know, it's a little bit more expensive. But I guess because he managed to find that perfect slot of 2 mana less than your next turn, which means you can play it, build another Zombie for next turn. It's a really beautiful curving out.
I think that worries me here is, you know, yes, there's the freezing trap, which kind of resets the game, even though this can just be replayed again by Leomane. He's falling behind. The Super Collider is almost one removal minion anyway, so the next minion dies, you assume very roughly. So if Leomane stays at least even and gets this quest done, Tarei's going to have to be building very specific beasts to survive, i.e. Divine Shield, Death Rattle, something like that.
Yeah, this is the hidden downside of Deathstalker Rexar is for a few turns after you play it, your tempo is actually quite low because you have to spend 2 mana every turn to build those beasts. Obviously, when you've built a bit of a backlog, you can just start vomiting them onto the board and regain tempo very quickly. But Odd Warrior can just get a pretty impressive board lead down if you're not careful.
And Fang Creeper, just a solid minion to put in the way. Procs the quest, of course. This is looking mighty fine.
Those are all good options.
They are. I was wondering as to whether you even hero power, because Spring Paw, Hunter's Mark, and then get the zombies down on an empty board is nice.
Yeah.
It can't be targeted by Shield Slam, and the Super Collider doesn't interact with it. But now, I think Tarei's chosen to forsake that.
I just always like going for hero power as much as possible.
I was just thinking, if the zombies lives, then you can Razor Maw, Dire Frenzy next turn, and still press hero power.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Halazi, I believe your pick has brought Halazi to this tournament. Legitimately in the list.
Yeah.
It was the first tweet I made when I saw it. I was like, Halazi has made it to playoffs. Well, that lines up pretty well to an Amani Warbear. With the Collider.
As in for whom? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
Sorry, with the Collider.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, do you want to use a Super Collider as a light justice, though? That
to kill an untargetable
awful.
minion, maybe. It's that bothers me more than anything.
But then this is the cornerstone of control deck thinking throughout Hearthstone is, do I have to remove each minion as it comes down, or do I allow my opponent to overcommit to get the brawl down? He also just has Ziliax. Like, if his opponent trades in here, he has Ziliax to follow up after.
That is true.
I think it's a little bit too... Super Collider is just so good. It could kill so much more than just the 1 health.
Yeah, I think, for me, as long as the taunts are progressed, this turn, either way you do it, it looks fine, because you just want that hero power active, because you want Tarei to have to deal with more than how do I make the most annoying minion. It's how do I make the most annoying minion and then not lose to the 8 damage a turn. Gorobashi chicken. Let's go.
I think I'd probably take the tortoise here, but
I think I'd take the chicken. I'm not even joking. Because it's cheap.
Yeah,
so already now there's a 6 mana, 2/4.
His hand doesn't have that much stuff to do though.
Gotta fit that Dire Frenzy somehow. Could Dire Frenzy the chicken. Make it a real threat. That overkill's gonna stack up.
Which tracks to follow?
Wait, what if he goes chicken, Snowflipper, Penguin? So it's only 2 mana, 1 mana, 2/2, and then Dire Frenzy. 1 mana, 5/5 overkill +5. Wow. Correct answer.
Talking, yeah.
Correct answer. That. Wow, that's all you can say.
Yeah. You're not quite sure if it was a wow, that's impressive, or wow, that was a dumb thing to say.
I always just hear what I want to hear. Ooh, Dynamatic gonna be nice to clear up this bear if he wants to.
Which bear?
Bear Shark. Yeah. Shark Bear. Shark Man Bear. go for Amani Warbear that turn. Again, just keep, you know, I'm not going to argue with keeping the taunts rolling.
Just some hot bear on bear action.
Got nothing to follow that up with Tarei comes on.
Just let it hang.
That's some,
Just let it.
some Animal Planet stuff going on. These are pretty bad. These last two zombies from Tarei, the choices have not been exquisite at all.
Like, if it wasn't against Odd Warrior, Starving Buzzard, I would actually be pretty tempted by, just because you've got double Spring Paw, you can draw a lot of beasts. Against Quest Odd Warrior, again, it's less fatiguey than against regular Odd Warrior.
Always happy to see a Stone Patus bar, though.
Big time. Yeah.
Put that on anything and you're having a good time. Well, that's also a good one. Imagine Hyena with the diaphragm. That's like a zombie beast in itself, isn't it?
Just got a message from Zorktar saying I apparently said if you're bringing Odd Paladin, you should put the quest in it. I, of course, meant to say if you're bringing Odd Warrior, you should put the quest in it, just in case anyone is still figuring out what I meant.
It's okay. First rule of casting.
Never,
you listen to what they mean.
Down.
You listen to what your co-caster means, not what they say.
Right.
That's what I used to tell Saul all the time. Stop listening to what I'm actually saying, and you know what. Listen to what I mean. It's trick number one. Double Hyena did come down now, though. That Raids Maw hitting the deck too.
And I mean, there's just so many ways to clear this up.
Yeah, pick an option.
Yeah, swing and then Dynamatic Direhorn looks pretty good to me.
What now?
It'd be an awful shame if there was a minion that did exactly 5 damage.
You're a cruel man, Raven.
It's true, even Direhorn actually now in this quest.
There we go.
I was going to say, I just felt it. Can't see the numbers, of course, but I was like, this quest feels like it's done right now. It's had enough time in the oven. And now it's going to start heating up this game and hitting Tarei for 8 per turn.
Stick a fork in Tarei.
He's done.
Yes.
I didn't know whether you want me to finish that or not.
Me neither. It's open to interpretation. It's like jazz. Yeah.
It's like
It's not about what you do say. It's about what you don't say.
Okay.
Which with us is nothing.
I wonder.
There is the augmented Elec for the classic combo of Dire Frenzy.
Oh, there you go.
Dire Frenzy plus augmented Elec.
Is it too late though? The problem with zombies is more times than not they're expensive.
Yes, and they're slow. You want a rush one.
And Leomane deals 8 for 2 mana every turn, or will be doing very soon, and that's my fear. And the real problem with this matchup is why personally, similar to what you said, not about Odd Paladin but Odd Warrior, is that I just would just play Quest every time.
I like it
because I feel like you have some kind of active part in the game where instead of it's all just defense, you flip the switch and then kill your opponent.
I think more. I want to add an addendum to that. I don't think Odd Warrior is a particularly good tournament deck right now, but if you do want to bring it, I prefer the Quest.
Ooh, out of nowhere, a third of the health just gone.
That's pretty
also
brutal.
actually 50%
Yeah, it's like
of the health gone. Sorry, I forgot the weapon swing. It's like an OTK deck, but in 2 turns. 1-2 kill deck.
Again, speechless, completely speechless at the rampant idiocy on this desk.
Too harsh on yourself, Derek. Too harsh.
I am rubber, you are glue.
What?
You know,
is that some southern thing? I've never heard of that before. You called
I am rubber, you are glue. It bounces off me and sticks to you, like.
No, that is. I think that's some posh person little. Is it not? Is that just like sticks and stones?
Kind of.
Is that what the lower class of me has heard in school? And you got this crazy thing about rubber and glue, which was just too chemistry based for my knowledge.
You haven't advanced to the rubber and glue era yet, have you? You're still in the stick and stone age.
Yeah. Okay, so at least now Tarei has 2 minions on board, which means Leomane has to, can't always guarantee a kill. Or a hit to face.
I mean,
we can see he can.
He's just so close to lethal, man. Like, Flurry
Freely
hero
use
power was
shields.
almost there, but I mean, this does the same thing whilst also developing a minion. It has to be something very impressive from Tarei just to stay alive.
Yeah, and most importantly, that 6 armor is going to deal with most minions with a flurry, right?
Yeah. Ooh, Zul'jin is a spicy pickup.
What does it even
It does something.
do? Does it?
What does it do? Does it play a spellstone?
No, I don't think so.
I don't even think it does, right?
So I actually can't remember what spells have even been
It's
played.
like kill command, animal companion,
freezing trap,
a bunch of secrets.
yeah, freezing trap, snipe wandering.
I think he's realized it just doesn't do anything.
Oh, master's call, but obviously there's no
Yeah.
point, especially before you've dire frenzied. There's no point master's calling at this point. And yet again, not the best beast in the world.
Yeah, he really has been missing the hunter's mark.
Nice
I'll
one.
see myself.
Yeah. Can you judge my terrible things on the desk, Tarei?
I'm here till Monday, at which point I will be sent home.
So here comes Mr. Allen.
Yep, just trying to give his opponent a 50-50. Maybe he'll miss it, who knows?
It still
but
feels like a 50-50 of 100% loss.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, if you kill my minion,
Makes
I don't have minions anymore. But Tarei doing what he can to at least hang on. But Leomane in very convincing fashion, even though the Rex